Okay, we are beginning Midah 12 of Tomer Devorah. Which doesn't sound like a Midah at all, really. Yaakov Chesed LaAvram Asher, this is the Midah Asher Nishbata Laavoseinu, which you promised to our forefathers. So what's the Midah here? Asher Nishbata Laavoseinu. What was there's a Midah here that we are meant to emulate, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu promising. There's a promise. Remember the promise. Asher Nishbata Laavoseinu Mimei Kedem in the olden days. And that's the end of Tomer Devorah. So we're talking about the promise, the Midah here, the 12th Midah is the promise, Asher Nishbata Laavoseinu. So Tomer Devorah says, Yesh b'nei Adam she'enam hagunim. There are people in this world that are not hogan, they're not hugan, hagun. Hagun means they're improper, they're not befitting, what does hagun mean? Not proper. It's not Rishoyim, we're not talking about Rishoyim. See, if a person gives an Eitzah She'ena Haguna, it refers to somebody asks you advice, and instead of thinking only about the other person, you got a little bit of yourself in mind over there, or a little bit of an agenda. That's an Eitzah She'ena Hagun. It's not an Eitzah Ra. Eitzah Ra is to tell a person to do a bad thing when he's supposed to be doing a good thing. Go buy this. Go, giving a person Eitzah Ra. Eitzah She'ena Hagun is more idle. Eitzah She'ena Hagun is I'm giving you an Eitzah which is not. You got to be very careful when somebody asks you an Eitzah to give an Eitzah Haguna. You got to really pull yourself out of the situation and think about what's good. And if you can't do that, so then you dismiss yourself from the situation. I can't give you an Eitzah Haguna here. That's a lashon of Haguna. I'm just saying the lashon of Haguna is, how would you translate that? Befitting for you. The Gemara says a case of a kohen marrying an isha she'ena haguna loy. Ena haguna loy. So the taich is that the kvoda kahuna demands that a kohen should marry. It's not a question of mutter or usher. It's a question of should marry somebody of us past tzu. That's the right word in Yiddish, right? Zugepast. Zugepast for you. That's Eitzah Haguna. Isha Haguna. So it has to be compatible, correct. So Yesh b'nei Adam she'enam hagunim. I'm just trying to work out what's a person who's not hagun. V'HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'HaKadosh Baruch Hu merachim al kulam. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu has rachmanos on everybody. Which, if I could be medayik in the Ramak, he doesn't say what he should say. Yesh b'nei Adam she'enam hagunim. Okay, there's certain people that are not fit for schar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu merachim aleihem. I should say. HaKadosh Baruch Hu merachim on them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu merachim al kulam. That, in other words, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives out a decree of rachamim, so he's merachim on everybody, whether you're hagun or whether you're not hagun.
Very hard statement. I mean, if you would have said Rishon, I would have understood like the merachim al kulam, even Rishon, but hagun, okay, so you didn't do.
Right.
You weren't 100%, but you're still a good guy.
Right.
There's a danger. This person is asking to be Eino Hagan.
Is there such a din? That's the question. Like an Eino Hagun is Eino Hagun. Like you find wherever I can think of, I'm not a Baki and Shas, like Shlech Tzibur has to be Hagun. So Shlech Tzibur Hagun means that Das Habrius Noicha Himenu. People like the person. He didn't steal from everybody.
What's an objective standard? It's a standard
Chashav.
word.
Chashav?
No. What? Hagun is chashav?
No.
You were singing.
The Rebbe is saying that
This is a shul, if you don't mind.
the Rebbe is saying that the Hagun's trying to some sviva that the person's in. He's talking about here b'nei Adam. He's not talking about a Kohen and a person.
It's a relative.
He's
Relative.
It's relative to Adam. He's not Hagun to Adam. That means.
I mean, he's not Hagun to his Tzelem Elokim,
Right. It's like this is
which is the subject of the book, right?
He's not saying like usually Hagun that you're saying. Usually Hagun shaykh to some sort of like fit to some sort of like Kohen to Isha or she had Tzibur to Daven. And here's Adam. It's not talking about. Hagun is like
Maybe. But then you're agreeing with me that Hagun is relative to the situation that I'm in. Whereas Hagun is not. I think this is going to be an important point. Hagun is not an absolute good or bad. You're a bad man. Yeah, good guy. That's not. Hagun means to fit, be fitting. That's why it's be fitting. You fit. Does this Isha fit with this man? Does this Shliach Tzibur fit with this congregation? Does this Eitzah work for you? Is it an Eitzah Haguna? So the lashon of Hagun is it befitting? An important thing.
I'm sure you'll
Darn, you're a man of words. Eitzah Haguna. Appropriate.
My translation is
Not good, bad, but is it the right thing for you? The minute I have my own agenda, Rashi says in the Gemara, if I have my own agenda, it's Eitzah Sheina Haguna. If a Shliach Tzibur is there to plopple for himself because he enjoys, singing, so he's a Shliach Tzibur she'ena haguna. So hagun means something which fits, which is befitting, which is appropriate. It's a nice word. Yeah.
I was going to. Why is it said in reference to Laevotenu?
Oh, what's that have to do with that? We're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, let's learn. Upershu b'gemara. V'chanoisi es asher achayin v'omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu oitzer zeh lo oisam she'enam hagunim. So I need to, what is that? So let me just review what everybody knows, what's well known in Chumash. After the whole, after the whole story of the Egel, so Moshe Rabbeinu says, Hashem forgave the Jewish people. Salach tikid baracha.
Is this Laevotenu the Avos, or is this?
Osunsu.
Okay.
Have patience. Vayomer Moshe LaHashem, Rei ata omer elai ha'alas ha'am hazeh. V'ata lo hidatani es asher tishlach imi. V'ata amarto hidaticha b'shem. V'gam atzasi chen be'enai. Here you're telling me that I find chen in your eyes, and you're telling me that you're going to take the people out of Mitzrayim. And Moshe Rabbeinu points out to Hashem, Mashu chaser po, there's something missing in the promises that you're making. V'ata, he says Moshe Rabbeinu, if it's true, imna matzasi chen beinecha haidieni na estrachecha ve'ediach l'man emsa chen beinecha v'rei ki amcha hagoy hazeh. Let me understand your derech. Vayoymar, and Hashem says, Panay elechu v'ani chosi lach. Vayomer elav, this is the operating pasuk here. Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, it's a funny back and forth, but I presume it's always a funny back and forth when you're talking to Hashem. Vayomer elav, im ein panecha holchim, al taleinu mizeh. Hashem is promising Moshe and Klal Yisrael everything. And then, but Moshe Rabbeinu picks up here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take us into Eretz Yisrael, and He's going to get us through the Midbar, and everything nice, but it's not going to be b'pnei Hashem. It's not going to be with the type of hashgacha pratis that Moshe Rabbeinu is looking for. It's not going to be the miraculous existence that Moshe Rabbeinu, the closeness to Hashem. It's going to be the gender of Hester Panim. Hester Panim, Hashem runs the whole world with Hester Panim. So Moshe Rabbeinu, in his genius, in his Ruach HaKodesh, in his sensitivity, he picked up Hashem as saying, okay, you're free, I'll let you go, I'll forgive you, but you're changing the relationship here. You're not going with the Pnei Hashem any longer. See, what was David HaMelech constantly asking Hashem? He said, I know you're taking care of me. We want to tell him, I want to be roeh Pnei Hashem. The Pnei Hashem is the whole thing. So Moshe Rabbeinu gives a big zog over here. Vayomer, a love, im ein panecha. Moshe Rabbeinu says, a love to him, im ein panecha holchim if you're not going to go with panim, al taleinu mizeh. Rather stay here. How will I know? How will I know clearly? Where's the chen? You said that I have chen. Where's my chen? Where is that chen? We'll soon explain. It's only if you come with us. In other words, Hashem said, don't take us into Eretz Yisrael, come with. We want you to come with. And if not, where's my chen? The whole chen is when you're coming with us. Do we want to be in Eretz Yisrael without the Hashgachas Hashem? Without the, can we be here without miracles? Also, you have to do something which makes us different. Moshe Rabbeinu is demanding from Hashem than every other nation in the world. Niflinu means there's hafla. There's a distinction clearly. Asher opnei ha'adama. So you can't treat us Jews like you're treating everybody else. So this is a bit of a chutzpah because us Jews just made an Egel Azav. And we should be happy that HaKadosh Baruch Hu just let us come. Okay, you're forgiven, salachti. But we need to be different than the Goyim. We need to have a different type of chen. Vayomer Hashem. So Hashem answers, Psukim, Al Moshe Gamas Hadavar Hazeh Asher Divarta. Okay, I'm with you. I'll go with you on this. Why? Ki matzasa chen be'enei ve'doacha b'shem. Because matzasa chen. Let me just finish Psukim. Vayomer. So Moshe Rabbeinu Vayomar rather Hareini Nos Kvoidecha. Okay, let me see. Vayomer. So Hashem says. Anybody ever noticed this discussion before? It's pretty wild discussion. Vayomer and Hashem says Ani Avir Kol Tuvi Al Ponecha. Does somebody want to translate that? Vayomer Hashem says. Right, we hear the discussion. Ani Avir Kol Tuvi Al Ponecha. The Seder. The what? Meaning Ha'aris Panim.
Right.
No Hester Panim here. You will be different than all the Goyim. You will have a miraculous existence. Hashem says, "You're pushing me on this. You're pushing me on this. You're." Ani Avir Kol Tuvi Al Ponecha v'Karasi b'Shem Hashem Lefanecha. The Seder. Why? V'chaloisi es asher achain ar pasuk v'richamti es asher arachem. Because v'chanoisi es asher achain. Now chain, this whole thing, if you've noticed over and over again, I think 6 times so far, is the lashon is chain. We're talking here in this parsha of Moshe Rabbeinu standing at Har Sinai. We're talking about we're talking about the chain of Klal Yisrael. Chain, Rashi says in Chumash, Rashi says in the Gemara in Brachos, Rashi clear, chain is the same lashon as chinam. Chinam means undeserved. Chinam means not intrinsic beauty, but it has a chain. Is this table beautiful? No. Does it have a chain? Ulai. There's a certain chain that sometimes you see a person, and not a particularly beautiful person by the books, if you would measure a person, but they have a certain chain. I always say, like when it comes to, you notice for your children, when it comes to shidduchim, if you say, is the girl beautiful? If the answer is she has a chain, you got to run the other way. It means that she's really ugly, because a chain means that that's what you say when a person doesn't have beauty. So that's chain, right? by mir has to chain. So the whole sugya here is a sugya of chain, which is the sugya of chinam, undeservedness. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, okay, you said I have a chain. Chain means that I can go all the way. You understand? Once you're talking about what I'm paying for, you're limited to what I can pay for. Once you're telling me that the sky's the limit, I have chain, so I want the whole thing. I want you to come with. I want It's nothing for me, Moshe Rabbeinu says, to bring this nation out of Mitzrayim to be like every other nation in the world. What do we do here? What do we do here? So I need to use the chain. And Hashem answers that, okay, Why? I will do it. And then he comes with this strange lashon, which is so important to us in our learning now. And I will give chen, but here's the strange lashon. I will give chen, to whom I will give chen.
It's like I'll give wisdom to the wise.
So wisdom to the wise means if you have a little bit of wisdom, I'll give you more. So what is v'chanoisi as asher achoin? You should say v'chanoisi. V'chanoisi. By the way, just agav, linguistics, when you have a machale, when you're at an encampment, it means that you're not there forever. It means that you're not really indigenous to that land. It's a machane, it's chen. Chen is always a milsa deravya alav. It's something which is not intrinsic to the person. Everything that has that chasnun in there means that it's a. So when I'm giving matnas chilam chen, but what's the lashon v'chanoisi asasher achay b'richamti asasher arachay? What's the redundancy of that lashon? You want to say?
Not everybody's deserving.
V'chanoisi. So translated to your words.
To those that have chen, I will give.
So that it's, but that's already that's already what you're talking deserving. It's not chen.
What's confusing to me is
You with me on the lobdus?
Yeah.
Like once you have to deserve chen, so sharnish chen. Like that's chen means that I don't deserve it. That's exactly what the word means. What?
Achain is a midah of that non-deserved giving.
The Seder. So what does it mean if I deserve to get undeserved?
Hashem said the same thing to Noach.
Noach chen.
Yeah,
Noach is chen words, right?
yeah, he said the same thing to
It
Noach.
means like Noach matzah chen
Chen,
bein
yeah.
Hashem, because if he wasn't intrinsically beautiful. If he would have lived at the time of Avram, Rashi says, lo hayinach Hashem l'kum. I think the guide explains that Esther was, everyone thinks Esther was so beautiful. She was a yalas chen. She was really green. The Gemara says, Yirak Rekas Isa. Not a pretty woman, but she had a chen. Oops. Okay, go understand. She had a chen. It was a siyata d'shmaya on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's not intrinsic.
It's not all of them. The degrees of chen.
So v'chanoisi es asher achayin is
I'll
translated.
pile it on.
Huh?
I'll pile it on.
Okay, if you have chen. No,
To who's becoming befitting to
I
have.
mean, I'll give you a lot of chen.
I'll give more.
Yaakov also asked for chen.
No,
You
no.
did?
It doesn't say it was Yosef asked for chen.
Where's Yaakov asked for chen?
Word from Yosef.
Natzati chen beinecha.
Avram. Avatzas chen beinecha. Yaakov.
Bury me in
Yeah.
Eretz Yisrael.
To Yosef. Not
That's
to him,
different
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So
but
it's a chen beinecha.
what does that mean? It's the same like
Right, the Ramban says that so the Ramban, beautiful, the Ramban says, fits right in, that Yaakov, before he has to be buried in Eretz Yisrael, he gave a whole speech. When I was going on the derech, Beisol, I Rochel, and I buried Rochel in Kaver Rochel, obviously. I buried Rochel in Beis Lachem, and why did I take her to the Maris HaMachpelah? So now you're going to say, probably Yosef, you're thinking like you're supposed to bury a person exactly where you die. Don't start schlepping him to Eretz Yisrael and to the Maris HaMachpelah. But it's okay. It doesn't make sense, but I'm telling you, I want to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. So again, chen is something which doesn't make sense. I don't really deserve it according to my own ma'asim. But he says, I had a Ruach HaKodesh that I should bury Rachel here for the Oivri Drachim. That's all, but don't give me your Ruach HaKodesh. I want to be buried in Maris HaMachpelah. Don't tell me you have a Ruach HaKodesh. Yeah.
To go back to the first question, Patrick Shabbos, go ahead.
Okay, so it might be that there's not even any logic in your eyes. And the first step, chanoiti, is that I'm going to do it even though you don't deserve it. And the second step at the share achon, that's going to be, and by the way, it's not going to make any sense to you because it's going to, you might think, oh, so the undeserved get chen anyways. And so I see that, I'm get it. No, but it's, sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. Some individuals will, some individuals won't.
Well,
Even once I go beyond the border of din.
Don't try to find a derech in it.
Exactly.
Very, very astute. Yeah, that's very good. So, meaning, when you pay for something, it's very, very, very good shot. I mean, it's Babish, I think, what the Tomer Devorah says. When you pay for something, so you can know what you get what you pay for, right? You get what you pay for. When you're getting something for chen, for chinam, so you don't know there's no mahalach. There's no mahalach in chinam.
Again, by Hashem, it is mahalach. It's a midah of his that we can't fathom any midah, but we most certainly can't fathom that.
There's such a thing, you know. You see, I just want to give a mashal. Like, let's say, you know, I've been a rabbi a long time now, like over 30 years. So, like, there's many places, many shuls. So, like, there's two kinds. Two kinds of shuls. One kind of shul says, you know, whatever you need, rabbi, you know, go buy yourself furniture, go buy yourself, you know, come here, whatever you need, take it, you know. And then there's another kind that gives you, like, okay, here's your budget. So I never allowed the first type. You know, give me a shear, give me. I need some clarity over here. Tell me I can spend $10, $1,000, $10,000, whatever you want. Like is the shkidetza. All that is a gamble on their part that I'll spend less. So let me know clearly. So you see, chilam has no shear. It has no shear, whereas matan sachar has a clear shear. The chaloisi es asher achai. So let me read you a chazal, Medrash Rabbah. The chaloisi es asher achai. Ba'oisa shah, what was going on? Ba'oisa shah, hera loy HaKadosh Baruch Hu, kol ha'oitzroi shel matan sachar, she'en mesukanim l'tzadikim. Moshe Rabbeinu received the grand tour in his nevuah. He received the grand tour of Shemayim of all different oitzarais, treasuries, shel matan sachar, she'en mesukanim l'tzadikim. Not just one Gan Eden. There's a different one for everyone. Amr lefanav, Ribono shel olam, ha'itzer zeh shel mihu. Who does this itzer belong to? Who gets that? Amr lo shel oisei tzedakah. This is the special lounge for the oisei tzedakah. Zeh shel mihu. Amr lo shel mechalkalei yisaimim. This is for those that take care of yisaimim. V'chein l'chol oitzer v'oitzer. The oitzeris are not. What does this mean? It means there's an exact science to the schar that tzaddikim get. It's not random. It's not like, you know, everybody gets the same schar. It's an exact science. According to what you were at tzaddikim, that's what you're going to get. That's the oitzer you're going to get. If you the specific, very specific.
You don't speak about this in Rosh Hashanah?
What?
Did you speak about this in Rosh Hashanah?
Did I?
Continue.
Okay, yeah, probably. V'chei l'chol oitzer, yes. V'chei l'chol oitzer v'oitzer. Ad shira oitzer echad gadol. Then Moshe Rabbeinu is taking his tour, and he sees apparently the biggest oitzer of them all, and he says, "Whoa, Amar Loi zeh shel mihu." Who gets to go there? Amar Loi. Here's the language. Reb Daro. Bi sheyesh shloi ani noiseloi bishaloi. If somebody has, if you can pay, I give him what he can pay for. Misha ein loi. However, if you don't have, ani oisei olav chinam. So what does that mean? That there's a special oitzer called oitzer matnas chinam. You know, Reb Nachman Breslover wrote a book about this. Oitzer matnas chinam. This is one of his biggest themes. Oitzer matnas chinam shenemar. Where does all this come from? Shenemar v'chanoisi es asher achain asher nachun inksiv ela asher achain. Meaning, I will not give everybody from the oitzer matnas chinam. And this is the pshat of Chazal. I will not give everybody from the oitzer matnas chinam. I only give people the oitzer matnas chinam if they don't have any place to go. So v'chanoisi es asher achain. If you don't have any schar of your own, so I'll give you from the oitzer matnas chinam. If you do have your own, I'll give you what you mishi yeshloi ani noisim loi. This oitzer, that oitzer. Somebody comes to Shemayim, it is Yadayim Rekanais, I have for him an oitzer matnas chinam. So what we're talking about, v'chanoisi es asher achain, is that there is such a thing as an oitzer matnas chinam.
So it sounds like there's an exact science to it, you know, from the thing. Whoever doesn't have skuyas from somewhere else, Hashem's going to give them all of them.
Yeah, but they give more. They give more.
They give more, yeah, that's
So what's the measurement then? What is the measurement?
They give more.
So but you have to. What do you mean they get more?
The biggest outs are Moshe Rabbeinu.
Biggest choice, could be the most amount of people have to fit in there. the biggest schar. But I think that there's, if you look further, if you look in the Gemara in Brachos Daf Zayin, there the Gemara says that what was also going on in the same conversation, this conversation was big. The sneh was big, this was big, these are the two big nevuos, really. What was also going on here is that Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, Mipnei ma yesh tzadik v'ra loi, rasha v'tov loi. Why do we find righteous people suffering? Why do we find bad people getting good? The answer is, v'chanoisias asher achain. You have no mahalach. When it comes to chinam, there's no mahalachim. You don't try to understand chen. That's the point. You can't, the point of all this is that you can't quantify chen. If I say somebody is beautiful, you could say, well, has these cheeks, this head, this nose. You could say beautiful. If you say somebody has chen, you can't put your finger on chen. There's no way to put your finger on chen. So it's so deep, really, that when Moshe Rabbeinu said, why do Rishayim have good things happening to them? That's a bigger question, really, than why do the righteous suffer. Why do the righteous suffer? Why do good things happen to? Why do bad things happen to good people? It can't be frustrating. Why do good things happen to bad people? That's what's hard to understand. Just get rid of them. So the answer is v'chanoisias asher achon. Forget about it. This is my department. The oitzer matnas chinam is. I have the keys to the oitzer matnas chinam. It's not something. Ein anu, says a Pirkei Avos. We just don't understand this kind of thing. This is all part of the chinam. The part of the chinam is that when you're dealing when you're dealing with this oitzer, you won't understand it. You could understand that if you're Megadol Yisayimim, this is why you get this Olam Haba, but you won't understand it. Okay, so Yesh Bnei Adam she'enam hagunim. Let's go back to the Tomer Devorah. V'Hakadosh Baruch Hu merachim al kulam u'perishu b'Gemara. So the Gemara is mefaresh v'chanoisias asher achaim Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu oitzer zeh lo oisam she'enam hagunim. So now, I think the almost non-understandable Tomer Devorah comes alive. Because what's really happening over here is that Moshe Rabbeinu, the whole sugya, the whole parsha here, is the parsha of Chen. This should be called Parshas Chen, just like there's a Parshas Haman. This is the Parshas HaChen. And the Chen is such that Hashem was machadish to Moshe Rabbeinu two things. One is that, yes, there is what we will call from now on an Otzer Matnas Chinam. I have a special treasury for those that are undeserving. I have an Otzer Matnas Chinam. So too, you'll never understand it. This is not something, once you're getting involved in Chinam is not something anybody can understand. You can go to a store, you can mark the value, but Chinam I can't understand. Can business people understand the world of philanthropy? There's books written about it, but they don't get it. They can understand, okay, you're buying kavod, you're buying that, they can understand, but true Baal Tzedakah is about impossible to understand. But so v'chanoisias asher achain oitzer zel lo oisam she'ena hagunim, says the Tomer Devorah. What?
Why is Rachamim the same Geder as Chen?
So Chen and Rachamim is even more. We have to learn about Rachamim. Where did they get there? Rachamim is more noited to din, right? Let's leave Rachamim aside because it's Yesh oitzer chanunim. Let's just get through the lashon. There is an oitzer chanunim, he calls it. Let's know about it. Sha'Hakadosh Baruch Hu choinein v'noisein lahem matnas chinam. We just read it in the Medrash that there's such a thing as an oitzer chinunim. Lefi she'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? What's the purpose of the Bria? What's the purpose of the Torah? What's the purpose of din if you don't have to keep the din? If there's a matnas chinam. So, Lefi she'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, harei yesh lahem schus avos. Where does it come from? It comes from schus avos. Ani nishbati la'avos. I promised. I heard a story from somebody, a Chiloni Jew, old man. So he told me that he just recently, in fact 2 days ago, in Tel Aviv, Cholon. So he says to me that he He's very proud of himself. So he said that, but he was in America. He was from the Carpathian, the Carpathian Mountains. So he was in America. So he went to see the Satmar Rebbe, Rabbi Yoelish, the famous Satmar Rebbe. So he says, "Ani Chiloni Lagamri," and he says, "And I'm a Tzioni, died in the wool Tzioni, and everything that the Satmar Rebbe hates." And I hate Cheredim, and he says, "I told all this to the Satmar Rebbe." So the Satmar Rebbe, he said, I couldn't get him to dislike me. He kept on, he kept on being nice to me, and he gave me tea, and he gave me, he'd sit down, and he's holding my hand the whole time. No matter what I'd say, I couldn't get him to be he wanted to come out of there with a story that how evil is that right? So finally he said to this. He told storyteller. He said to the Satmar Rebbe, he says, why are you being so nice to me? I stand for everything that you hate. So he says, I knew your father. His father in the Carpathian, right, was a good Jew, and it was a fine Jew. So he says, apparently, back before the Holocaust in Satumara, where Satmar Rebbe came from, so he told all the Balabatim. This is what this man told me. He told all the Balabatim. He said, we don't know what's going to happen now. He says, but as best I can, I'll take care of your children. Best I can, I'll take care of your children. So we understand what it means to be on nishbat, shasher nishbati la'avoseinu, nishbata la'avoseinu. You promised. So we're talking about otzer matnas chinam. All of a sudden starts to get a miskeret onto itself. It's matnas chinam. It's like you're saying, but with a miskeret. That it's an otzer matnas chinam, but not everybody can get into this otzer matnas chinam. So that's not chinam. It's chinam in terms of your ma'asim. But you have to belong to a certain group. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu said. You have to belong to a certain group called the Avos group. You got to be part of the Avos club in order to get the Oitzer Matnas. This is why, by the way, if you look at it in the halacha, and if you look at it from a social demographic point of view, that a person does this avera, that avera. If a person cuts themselves up, they're kaires bris, they're kaires esa bris. They cut themselves off from the avos. This is the worst thing that can possibly happen. It's not necessarily the worst avera in terms of the 613 mitzvahs, but it's the worst thing because they have now disengaged themselves from the oitzer matnas chinam. I think that's what intermarriage is. But when you're talking about intermarriage, it's not about people say, well, where's the lav? Okay, so Darren wrote a book on it, but the real issue is, the way I understand it, is that this is bigger than a lav. This is, you have cut yourself off from the Jewish people. More important, you want to cut yourself off from the Jewish people? Okay. You've cut yourself off from the avos. And the whole reason why there's an oitzer matnas chinam, the only chance that you've got, what was the chance of the people that built the Egel? What was it? The answer is Asher Nishbati La'avoseyim. I promised their father. You had an Avraham, you have a Yitzchak, you have a Yaakov Beseder. You're in. As long as you're attached that way, so your Yetzirah is such, and your Maisim are such, and you sway this way, you sway that way, somehow or another, you're still attached. But once somebody cuts off that tie to the Avos, so then you're no longer, then you're already, you're not Ami, you're so you're already part of the other camp. So what Moshe Rabbeinu was demanding, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, okay, you won't understand exactly how this works, but there is an Otzer Matnas Chinam. You're not going to understand the degree, why does this one get that, why does that one get this? This is going to be hard to understand, but because it's Chinam, and there is no Geder, there is no price tag on it, there is no exact, you get what you pay, but you're in this big, gigantic Oitzer called the Oitzer Matnas Chinam. As long as I have to keep my promise. Why do I do this? Because ani nishbati la'avos, Hashem says. Im kain, just to finish the sentence, im hayosh einam hagunim, even though they're not hagun. So now does it begin to become clear a little bit what hagun means?
Yeah.
Hagun means that you're not hagun, you're not appropriate, you're not sugepast for the kind of treatment that you're getting. You're not really befitting to be part of this people. You're not really.
You don't deserve it.
You don't really deserve it. You're not hagun. You don't deserve it. You're not acting like a mamleches kohanim va'am kadosh. Nevertheless, like there's something else here. There's a different kind of connection. Im kenim hayosheinim hagunim yisku. They will be zocha. Why? One reason and one reason only. Mipnei shehei mizera ha'avois shenishbatu lohem. Shenishbatu lohem. Because they come from zera ha'avois. Because they're Jewish. And they have zera ha'avois. Lefichach anhileim v'anhigem. Ad sheyisuknu, this is the key words over here. I will be patient with them. I will lead them. I will take care of them. Ad sheyisuknu, until they come back. Until there's a tikkun. This is not a freebie. It's patience. We're talking about patience. I think the Satmarav had patience with this man because he knew where he came from. So I can have patience and try to figure out where you're going to go to. He didn't tell me. I guarantee you he's got a grandson who's a Baal Shuvah. Has to be. Has to be. There's no... this doesn't last. Either 3 generations doesn't last. Either you become a guy or you become Baal Shuvah. There's no 3 generations, it doesn't happen. Go find it. But
it's Kafka Referach, the Berachas Avos is the first bracha, and the Shemon Esrei is the Berach of Chesed.
Bracha of Matnas Chinam. Matnas Chinam. We're davening. The first, so we're setting the stage for our Hol Tefillah. And the Hol Tefillah starts off, Ribbon Shalom, we are B'nai Avraham, Elokei Avram, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. Without the Avos, so Lamatchil, because who knows, Mi Yamoid Lefonecha Badin. Is there any way? So look, Be'ezus Hashem, we have to pick this up on a practical level on Sunday, but we should be zocha to be tzaddikim. So tzaddikim, so we can be zocha to the oitzer shel magadli yisoimim, and the oitzer shel tzedakah, and the oitzer of loim de Torah, and all the different oitzers, infinite amount of oitzers. But there's that oitzer matnas chinam, which to the degree that we're not tzaddikim, at least we're connected, and the connection is everything. Now, I'll leave it to you to think about, and then we'll learn next week, how does that fit for me, how am I godly in this way? But what we're learning here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Moshe Rabbeinu, by the way, which is fascinating to me, gave HaKadosh Baruch Hu Musar in this regard. Like, even the Lashon, Vayomer Elav. And he said to him, hello, he's talking to Hashem, Vayomer Hashem, speak properly. Vayomer Elav, he said to him, I don't accept this. You're treating us like goyim. You treat us like a bunch of goyim for. Okay, you're forgiven. This you say to a Roman. When you're talking to the B'nai Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, we want hashgacha pratis, we want chinunim, we want oitzer matnas chinam, we want panach, imein panecha, ochim alta aleinu. He said, I want a different kind of a treatment over here. Look who I am. And we get it. And we get it.
We say the first bracha of Tachonen
Ladam Das.
So what's the pshat there? That really
first bracha.
We don't deserve it, but Hashem gives to the world das.
Yeah,
But we don't deserve it. Is that the idea?
The idea, the way I understand it, is that so often. You're thinking about something and thinking and trying to find a solution, and all of a sudden flies in your mind from nowhere. This is a matnas chinam. In other words, in the schus of thinking so much, emes comes into your head. Gedolei Ador have said, people like Chaim Brisker have said that they think that people said, "Oh, you're so smart." They think, but the solution they have to the Rambam and to the Gemara is always coming from something that they weren't thinking about altogether. So you can try to understand that cognitively, but it's probably atachonein l'adam das.
So das bichlal is chinam.
Yeah, you could have chachma, meaning you can gather information. You could have bina. You could analyze the information, but the das is.
So the so-called Jews for Yashka would fit in that category?
If they're Jews, they're not Jews. in the category of those that pushed went out or
Went
went
out, then went out.
Was it part of the tshuva process that Moshe was demanding us, that somehow that was somehow part of the,
And why it works?
why, I mean, he was in the middle of doing collective tshuva. He was somehow commandeering a collective tshuva in Klal. So maybe somehow the Moshe may have felt like this, the way he was mistaken was somehow the lack of Klal. So I don't really have a full shot on this.
You know, like on page 5, numbers 3, 4, 4.